Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and with me this lovely Monday morning is, by popular demand, Batya Solomon. Welcome, Batya.
Hello, everybody.
Nice
to be here.
We are ramped up and excited to share with you. This is a really high energy week and lots of opportunity for us. And so this week's topic that we are tackling, we're calling it Loving the Haters, talking about how to use our inherent goodness, compassion, and kindness to obliterate the darkness rather than trying to fight darkness with darkness. Every week on the Weekly Energy Boost, we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And in providing that practical wisdom and tools, we inevitably showcase life lessons and valuable messages that you can use any day of the week, any week of the year. This week is no different. We have two really powerful influences. One is the weekly energy that is connected to opening the heart, really unleashing the inherent nature within each and every one of us, which according to the wisdom of Kabbalah is love and light, as well as the fact that we are transitioning into a new month according to the Kabbalistic calendar. If you're listening on Monday, so Tuesday is the new moon of Pisces, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we have a double day. 2 days this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, where we are planting the seed for the coming month. And as we talk about every episode that runs into a new moon, we use the new moon to set the mold for the coming 30 days. So how we think, feel, and behave in those 2 days really has a much more significant impact on the days that follow. Obviously, every day of the year, our thoughts, words, and actions plant seeds. We do our best to operate at the highest level possible on the new month so that we raise the bar on the new moon. We raise the bar for the entire month to come. So the month of Pisces and Pisceans in general are known for their compassion and kindness and gentle way in the world. One of the things that's obviously very prevalent in modern times is, we could probably do 8 episodes on this, but the fact that for whatever reason, and I'm sure there are cosmic reasons, people are so much more compelled to spew vile wherever they go, whether it's racism, people trolling one another on the internet. There's so much. Everybody's just letting it all hang out. And if only it were only the good stuff, it's also good stuff, but it's really the uptick in the dark and negative human nature that we've noticed over the past few years. And Kabbalah, first of all, if you're listening and you identify with being being someone who shares their opinions without filters and isn't really sensitive to who's listening or how much damage those words can have, we're talking to you. But also those of us who are on the receiving end of that, the anger, the hostility, the resentment, I think, that people broadcast in modern times. It's almost like, you look at, maybe that's why period pieces on TV and movies people are so compelled to watch them because, let's say you watch all of that British, all of the British period pieces, everybody's so stiff upper lip and restrained and nobody's saying they love anybody and everybody's so cold and reserved that there's a part of us that wants to go back to that, keep it to yourself. I don't really want to hear what you think about me attitude. And there is a, I guess you could say there's a positive way to use it, but there's a positive way to face it as well. It's not, the universe doesn't put it in our purview so that we will be beaten down by it. But really, as our teacher, Rav Berg, used to say, you can't fight darkness with darkness. You can only dispel it with light. So today we want to talk about how to approach those who oppose or criticize us in the most spiritual and impactful way. How to let go of being affected by the criticism or the rejection or sometimes it's humiliation that's out there for us because we, being a human in 2023, you expose yourself to the public, whether you like it or not, right? Everybody's online. Everything is public domain. We see so many things in the news about people behaving badly because they thought nobody was looking, but lo and behold, somebody on the train is filming them and they're exposed. So part of what we want to download this week is also the impact that we as individuals have on dispelling that darkness, even though it might seem like the issues are so far-reaching and broad and out of our hands, how very valuable and impactful those small candles can be. So where do you want to begin, Batya?
I don't know, Elisheva, where do you want to begin?
Well, first of all, I think we can start by asking everybody, and maybe this is a good way to bring you into the chat, is we are all probably guilty of that. We are all probably guilty of saying something hurtful or hateful, whether with malicious intent or simply because we didn't think twice before we opened our mouths or we forgot who we were talking to. I remember, just as a really funny example, I have 2 little girls and a little boy. Elementary school age kids at home, and one day some boy did something terrible to one of my daughters. I don't know if he kicked her or he hit her or he spit at her. And I gave her a hug. She was crying, destroyed. And I said, boys can be so terrible. And I look up and my son is looking at me.
Oh my God, that was a terrible thing to say.
So, true confessions of a Kabbalah teacher.
She has plenty to talk to her therapist about.
He has plenty to talk to his therapist about. That he heard his mom talking about how terrible boys can be.
Oh my God.
Obviously, I didn't. It was.
Wow, that's brave of you to admit that in public.
I'm saying that we all do it. I wasn't trying to cut anybody down. I was trying to acknowledge and validate her hurt, and I did it in a really upside down way.
Yes.
Right? What do you say? That was a Freudian slip of Freudian slips. So, did I mean to hurt him? Was it came out much more hateful? First of all, I didn't even realize he was standing there, right, in that emotional moment. But we've all been there. Right. I've shared I remember probably a couple of years ago, I shared about a student that I had that a number of years ago was very active on social media with political
vitriol,
rhetoric, let's call it. And, she was really trying to convince her friends and family of the horrible nature of a certain individual. And she was, I was like, I didn't want to, I was embarrassed.
Cringeworthy.
I don't know if the word is embarrassed, but I was cringing. It was like, oh my goodness, you're such a good person. What are you doing? Why put that out there? Do you realize how bad you look just in being able to talk about another human being like that? And so I think the first step for all of us is to admit, to take stock in the fact that we've all been there, mindlessly, maybe unknowingly or sometimes knowingly attacking or criticizing or being hateful without realizing, and maybe I'm saying there's both. There's you didn't realize or you intentionally wanted that hate or that malice to negatively impact someone. The second step is in those times where you've been subjected to that or even witnessed that. Right? It doesn't have to be an attack on you. It can be an attack on someone else. What did you do?
Well, can I?
Please, I'm setting the stage for you. Take the mic, please.
Okay. Well, what comes to mind as you were speaking is 2 things. The first thing is everyone wants love. Everybody needs love and wants love, wants to be loved and wants a space to express love. Then when going back to establishing our patterns of behavior, as I mentioned in another podcast, that, everything happens, well, not everything, but, our subconscious belief systems are formed at a very, very young age. Then we adapt what's called reactive life strategies, which
You need a book by that title.
I know, right?
Reactive
I made
Life
that
Strategies.
up. How can I copyright that? Don't steal my line, everybody. Anyway,
That's brilliant.
yeah, it's called Reactive Life Strategy. So I have a student got into a conversation. She has by the way, I hope she's not listening. She has
I hope she is. Hey.
Now, we talked about this in depth, and she has had a habit for all of her children's lives that when she's hurt, she attacks. She gets very nasty to her husband, very nasty to her children, and it's like so damaging. And so we had this, again, in-depth processing, let's call it that, conversation. And as we're uncovering the layers, she finally understood that the reason she attacks is because she feels hurt. Now, the option that she has is to say, I'm hurt. Now, that would be a very self-loving thing to do. By her stating her truth, as you listen to the other podcast I was on recently with you, by stating her truth, she takes back her power. She empowers herself because that's her truth. I'm hurt. And if she would live in her truth and say, I'm hurt, she would not have the need to attack. But subconsciously, and the way she dealt with life, because she had a lot of trauma, in her younger years, the way that her survival mechanism is, if she feels hurt, that means her survival is at risk. Her emotional survival, her physical survival, her mental survival, mostly emotional survival. She has to protect herself. So what does she do when she feels unsafe, when she feels hurt? Instead of allowing the emotions of that emotion, energy in motion, just allowing it to just be released in a very pure way, the way children do. When if you ever witnessed a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, they'll be crying and then they'll get over it. Next minute, they get right back up. They're laughing. The energy, the emotions just channel through them. They don't hold on to it necessarily in most cases, unless it's some form of trauma. Well, that's the way we're meant to. We're meant to emote energy in motion, let the energy flow through us, channel through us. But like I said, we've learned that as a survival, reactive life strategy is, in order to the illusion that I won't get hurt again, I'll attack you so that you don't hurt me again. So let's put a pin in that, right? So that we've got that. And then we need to know what, Rav Ashlag, founder of the Kabbalah Centre, has taught us, that there is everything, and he's quoting from the script, from the sages, from Kabbalists. He said that everything is a process. Every one of us is in a process. So if you go to an apple tree and you pick the apple before it's ripe and you bite into it, what does it taste like? It's bitter.
Terrible.
Terrible, right? But if you wait for the apple to ripen on the vine and then you eat it, then it's sweet. So one thing we should keep in mind about ourselves and other people that we judge is that they're still on the vine. We're still on the vine. We're still in a process. And because if we judge people too soon, we're hurting ourselves and we're hurting them. And it's important to keep that in mind. If you're being attacked for whatever reason, misjudged, verbally attacked, shamed, humiliated. By the way, that was the parenting strategy in my dysfunctional family growing up, was, we were either beaten or shamed and humiliated into place. So you can imagine what I had to unpack there. If the other thing is, so to understand first, we want love. We need love. Love is something that is a connection. That's what love is. Love is a pure connection. And we have a connection to our soul, is constantly downloading energy from an eternal source, whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. There is this eternal source that we're all drawing energy from. And if we're drawing it from in an unimpeded way, and we're expressing it, that's when we're in bliss. That's when we feel love, we're exchanging love, and that's ideally the state to be. However, we're in a process to get there. And so for those of us who don't feel safe in the illusions of this world, we all have come and ask yourself, what is my reactive life strategy? What is my reactive? What do I do when I'm vulnerable, when I feel vulnerable? How do I respond when I feel threatened, when my livelihood is threatened, when my life is threatened, when my love is threatened, when my self-identity is threatened? What do? Most of us, we're like wounded animals in the corner who'll attack when, if someone comes near. So it's really important to keep that in mind and work from a place of compassion. Another thing we learn in the teachings is the idea that there are two kinds of people in the world. They're the builders and they're the destroyers of this world. And destroyers of this world are not obvious. Destroyers of the world are people who use other people to make themselves right. And if you don't agree with me, then I'm going to cancel you. Those are the destroyers of the world. They're the builders of the world. And the builders of the world are the people who think, okay, I'm having a fight with my spouse right now. We're having a disagreement. Now, do I want to put another nail in the coffin of this relationship by being right? Or am I more concerned about keeping the love alive in this relationship? That's a choice we should ask ourselves all the time whenever we're engaging with other people.
Do I want to be right or do I want to be light?
Do I want to be right or I want to be light? Very nice.
That's how you know if you're in
Yes.
destroyer mode or builder mode, is that, if you're focused on proving a point or proving someone wrong, or if you're in that defense at all costs mode, it's a destructive path.
So if you're trying to be right, and you can do a self-check here in anything. You could be right, and that it's not even maybe an argument if you're right or not. But is it worth it for the investment in the future of that relationship, whatever that relationship is, to kill the other person in reputation and spirit and mood or whatever in order to gain the victory of being right? Or would your energy be better invested in finding a solution, or even let's agree to disagree? That word, let's agree to disagree. You like that candidate, I like the other candidate. You follow that religion, I follow another religion. Whatever it is, let's agree to disagree, or let's agree to respect each other's opinion on the matter or preference on the matter. We don't have to cancel the other person out in order to be for the victory of being right, because anybody who is on that train is on the train of destruction. Whether it's microcosmic in the friends and family arena, or it's macrocosmic on the global arena. War has never solved anything except line the pockets of the people who are financing those wars. They're the only ones who are temporarily benefiting from any kind of war. Just keep that in mind. So if you find yourself, and there's a force at work, a dark side that exists in this world, right? We call it the opponent force in Kabbalah. And that force doesn't care which side of the issue you're on, as long as you're creating separation with the other side. That's all the force wants. Doesn't matter who's right or wrong, just create separation, because that's what it does. It creates separation. And where there's separation, there's weakness. And where there's weakness, there's destruction. Just keep that in mind. So in this day and age, with all of the insanity going on in the world, the seeming insanity, and it's so uncertain, right? The dollar, it's coming, it's going, crypto up, it's down. Should I invest in the stocks? My investments, whatever it is, things are changing. Prices are going up. People are getting nervous. And with all that going on, you can ask yourself, am I a builder or am I a destroyer? The way that if you say, I want to be a builder, I want to be part of the solution, I don't want to be part of the problem. Here's how you be part of the solution. And it's going to sound maybe a little off or crazy, but this is really how we're going to heal this, is to spend your time being happy. Spend your time meditating on opening your heart. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you allow people to insult you. It doesn't mean that you allow people to mistreat you in any way. But as the more of us that choose to stay in an elevated consciousness of understanding, and compassion, we're all in a process. We're all on the vine. We're not there yet. So let's cut each other a little bit of slack. I don't have to agree with you. And I can consciously maintain a higher vibration of love and compassion. This is actually how we all heal the world. I know it sounds crazy. What are you talking about? No, it's really that simple, that deep, and that profound. Which doesn't negate the fact that if you want to have a debate, go right ahead. But the minute that debate crosses a line of attacking someone's character, etc., then that becomes a destructive conversation. It's no longer a building conversation. And by the way, I had what I thought was a friend. We made the mistake of having a political conversation. I thought we were having a debate until she started I didn't agree with her, and then she attacked my character over this. And that's when I said, bye-bye. We don't, it's like, I'm not going to engage with someone who's going to attack my character because I don't agree with her. I wish her well, bless her wherever she goes. But I can, I don't have to also allow myself to be a victim. We have to be very clear about this conversation and not give the wrong message.
Right.
So again, you can respectfully disagree and still have compassion for the person and still want them to be right, because this country was born out of healthy debate. This country and the republic or democracy, however, there's the Constitution is based on healthy debate.
The U.S. Constitution.
U.S. Constitution, yes. Exactly.
We have a lot of international listeners.
Okay. The United States Constitution. I'm not talking about today's political scene. I'm talking about the Constitution was based on spiritual values. That everybody, has the right to pursue happiness. Right? So, and there was checks and balances that were purposely set up to keep each other honest. I don't want to get into politics now about the First and Second Amendments, and I'm just saying that it wouldn't even have to be a question if enough of us would raise our consciousness of keeping compassion, kindness, respect, and human dignity, and we don't have to agree. It doesn't mean we have to agree. It just means that in my disagreement with you, I will respect my boundaries. We don't have to attack each other's character, etc. That and asking yourself, let's say, it's not about politics or religion. Let's just say it's in the family. What can I do to be a builder in this relationship? With my children, with my spouse, with my friends, with my community. What can I do to contribute to be a builder rather than a destroyer?
You made me think of two things that I think will help us reach that level of thoughtfulness and awareness. I'm sure everybody's heard, or most people have heard, the phrase, hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you were talking about your student that, she became nasty when she felt hurt, basically. And the reality is, in the same way that, as an adult, and I've brought up different scenarios like this, if you have children and somebody's picking on your child, as much as you're upset and you want to protect your child, you also look at the perpetrator and you think, such a shame. So, how sad that child feels the need to make other children miserable.
Not that that's a justification,
right,
for them to stay a bully.
Exactly. But because it's a child, we find the compassion inside to recognize this child is hurting and therefore wants to inflict hurt on others. Adults are not different. And if there is somebody out there that is out to get you, or, even I know somebody in his business that there are people trying to attack the character of the business or the products, constantly putting out inflammatory reviews and things like that to take them down. that person feels so helpless and hopeless in their own lives that the only way they can succeed, quote unquote, is to destroy others.
That's the reactive life strategy at work.
There you go. The second thing that I was reminded of while Batya was talking, which to me has been elemental in my own personal process as a teacher, as a coach and a mentor, and even as there's so many little other areas we've had to dabble our toes in our work over the years, but there is a very annoying, as you heard me say, very annoying Kabbalistic concept that anytime you are out to do something important, you invite opposition. It's actually one of the ways that you know. I actually want to read a quote from a book called Education of a Kabbalist that was written by our teacher, Rav Berg, about his teacher and how he came to be the leader that he was. And he says, my teacher often told me that if I truly wanted to know the rightness of my actions, I must look around at the kind of opposition I was facing. If unrighteous people opposed me, then I could be sure I was really achieving something worthwhile. So what that means and what we teach in our leadership programs is by doing something valuable and important and impactful, you're actually inviting opposition.
By the way, that reminds me of a Kabbalistic story of a man who goes to the upper world after his life is over, and they say to him, well, who are your enemies? And he said, oh, I didn't have any enemies. Everybody liked me. I didn't have not one enemy. And they say that he gets the first ticket to hell because he didn't do anything in the world.
Everybody says the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right, but it's important. So it's not that we're saying, oh, it's bad to have opposition. No, on the contrary, opposition really helps us grow like a diamond. Well,
so that's
again, coal into a diamond.
No, so
here,
one side of that idea is that by doing something important, you're inviting opposition. The other side of that coin is if you're experiencing opposition, that's no indication that you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
That's to me, or maybe because I'm a Pisces, when somebody isn't passionately enamored by the things that I do, I worry, oh my God, did I do something wrong? No. The fact that somebody has pushback, and I see this, I'm saying this because we work on teams with different people and we produce projects, and not everybody is, giving us a standing ovation.
The opposite.
Sometimes it's the opposite. The point is,
we do great work.
It's not, but it's never the rejection or the criticism is never an indication that we've done something wrong or maybe we need to go over it again. But that's what I'm saying. It's two sides of that coin. On one hand, when you do something important, you need to expect opposition. The other side is when you get the opposition, know that it's not that you're doing something wrong, it's that you're doing something right.
Or it's not even a value judgment. I have two people in my life right now I find very annoying.
I hope I'm
very
not one
annoying.
Of them.
Yes, no, you're not one of them.
Yay.
You're my bestie, right? Didn't we say that we complete each other's sentences?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, but you do annoy me sometimes.
We complete each other's sandwiches.
That's true. But anyway, at first, it's the first thought that comes in, let's be honest, like, ugh, why is this person in my life? Just go away. And then I have to remind myself, oh my God, that means something great is coming right after this. Because that's usually what happens. You go through a challenge, you got to go through some sort of dark moment or uncomfortable moment. And then after that, the light is revealed. So as annoying as it is to interact with these particular people, I find, and I'm human. So
no.
Yes, I left my halo and wings at the dry cleaner. Sorry.
No.
I remind myself after the first, the first thought is, oh, just like go away so I can go back to being at peace. And the second thought is, oh, wow, they're annoying me. So something good is coming to me. Something good is about to happen because I'm having this interaction. It's really
100%. And it's not, this episode is not meant to be like a security blanket. Like, don't worry, it'll be okay. It's really to inspire everybody and to empower everybody to take advantage of those opportunities when they're there. So that annoying person, the solution to the annoying person isn't to ignore or to cancel or to sometimes
Make them wrong, make
there,
them
I was going to
bad.
say that sometimes when somebody's annoying, we give ourselves the right, the freedom to put them down or to make them look bad because, oh my God. But that they're there actually as a means, they're part of the universal system of miracle delivery. Like Batya said, something good is coming. If I can sit and be genuinely who I am and loving and caring and compassionate and not affected by this person, that's actually a way for me to draw additional blessings, or what the Rav was saying in Education of a Kabbalist is that's actually when people would write or make criticisms or complaints about the Rav in those years, the Rav would say, just make sure they spelled our name right.
Oh, I have to tell you a great story about that. So many years ago, many years ago, when I was a new to the Kabbalah Centre, and I was the Rav and Karen's assistant, Rav Berg's assistant, and a fax. Remember the fax machines? Remember those days? So there was a letter that came over the fax about all the rabbis, 25 rabbis in Toronto. What did they call it? They excommunicated the center or something like that. They told everyone in their communities, don't go to the center or whatever. Being new to the whole game here of life in that way, and looking through it through the lens or filter of spiritual understanding, I read the facts and I run to Rav Berg and I go, oh my God, look what's happening here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading the letter and all of these people signing the letter, and we should get a lawyer, we should sue. Well, I got so reactive. Rav Berg was at his desk. He was writing while I'm having this very reactive experience, and never picked his head up, never put his pen down from the writing on the paper. And the Rav just said to me, I don't have time for Satan. I don't have time for the opponent. I just kept going, had no impact. Wow, what an indelible impression that had on me. It was incredible. And I realized in that moment how much energy I give to my own dark side. I let the dark side just play with me like a puppet in that moment. And that's what happens, again, getting into conflict. The opponent doesn't care what side you're on, what side of the issue you're on, as long as you take one side and not stay in a higher frequency, looking down at the situation in a higher frequency, and understanding that we're not ripe yet, and that we all want the same thing. Everybody just wants love. If you can open your heart, stay with an open heart, and still protect your boundaries, not to be a doorstop for anybody or a doormat, but stay with that open heart, know who you are, and be a builder. Choose to be a builder. You will see that enough of us do that, the world will change like that. A land of paradise for us all.
Amen. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We also have a website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can find out more deets on our guests, what they do, and all the other things we think are important for our listeners to know about. We also have a donate button on that page, so you can support the promotion and existence of our little old podcast. We also invite everybody to stop what you're doing, rate, review, like, and most importantly, share this episode, not only with the people that you know are affected by the criticism and opposition they face, but maybe people who are criticizing and opposing a little too much and could benefit from seeing a subtle nudge to look at the other side. Thank you again, Batya, for being here with us.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We love you.
And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.